Unique New York. Unique New York. It's a hard one, man.
Shibbity dibbity.
Oh, he's going to do the voice this time.
Shibbity doobity.
All right, let's do this.
Come to the back of the boat.
Welcome to Namely 90s. Wow. The podcast that takes you back to the time before smartphones, Google, and Y2K. Join your hosts as they relive the pop culture that shaped a generation and the parts that many people wish they could forget. Listen in to the conversation about how the decade defined those who spent their childhood there and how it shaped them as adults. So, turn down the grunge and dial up the internet. Let's get started. It's time for Namely 90s.
That's right. You're listening to Namely 90s. My name's Andrew. Over there's Brandon.
That's me.
You can find us online at namely90s.com or on Twitter and Instagram at namely90s with a 90s. You can also find this show every Monday on YouTube at namely90s.com/YouTube. And finally, if you'd like to support the show, head on over to patreon.com/namely90s, also with a 90s, and get signed up for one of our support levels. Hello.
Hi. With my new setup, I have to now do the That's Me left-handed, which I'm not used to doing. It's more of like a right-hand thing.
You're amphibious? Ambidextrous? I think I stole that joke
I'm
from
neither,
somewhere.
actually.
Yeah, that's crazy. There's not many people who are amphibious.
That's pretty good.
There's something wrong with him. Yeah, well, here we are. It's March now. Again,
yes.
Still.
We just had, so today is St. Patrick's Day that we're recording on,
yes.
But we just had our St. Patrick's Day special.
Indeed.
On Leprechaun, which that was a movie that existed.
No, never. 7 sequels. 7.
I can't explain it. Yeah. But you know, did you're not from an Irish family, do you? Do corned beef and cabbage?
I had
the Irish American thing.
No, I had corned beef and cabbage literally for the first time ever today.
Oh wow!
Someone made corned beef and cabbage and brought it to work.
Ew! Why?
No, it was good. It was in a crock pot.
Mm-hmm.
The corned beef and cabbage was pretty good. There was like a creamy mustard sauce for it, which was delightful.
I used to do whipped horseradish. And
I had like debilitating gas for the rest of the afternoon and evening.
Yeah, cabbage, corned beef, mysterious
corned beef and
sauce.
cabbage.
I was at Costco because I usually just get my corned beef, buy one from Costco. This year at my Costco, on top of the regular one, the like $5 a pound corned beef, there was a smaller one from Snake River Farms. Is that what it is? Snake River Farms.
Snake River Farms, yeah, it's like a meat place.
They do the American Wagyu, so they had American Wagyu corned beef.
I'm not sure I feel about pickling really high quality beef.
It's probably the lower grade. It's American Wagyu, so it's not like
it's not real,
Wagyu.
Man.
Yeah. I haven't made it yet because today is a day where I go out to all the places that are now like, oh, we have corned beef tacos, or we have a corned beef sandwich for you. Corned beef, grilled cheese, and a pint of Guinness. Which it was crazy how many places had it this year because it's slowly becoming a thing. I always go to High Street Deli for lunch if I can on St. Patrick's Day because they do like a nice corned beef on Dutch Crunch, and there's like pepperoncinis, and it's a well-dressed sandwich.
Technically, I like Reubens, which are technically pastrami and sauerkraut, but a similar vibe. You know?
Yeah.
And I feel like there's the bread has the caraway in it, which sometimes you put the caraway in the cabbage.
Oh yes,
caraway seed.
or that's like one of the pickling spices for the corned beef.
Yeah.
Welcome back to Namely Foods.
Yeah. But Brian Regan does this bit. Brian Regan does this bit. He's a comedian, for those of you who don't know, where he's like talking about how people always say the name of their food like in their native, like accent. Like, my ma, she makes a great manicotti. She makes it al dente with a ricotta cheese. He's like, well, Irish people do that. Yeah, my ma, she makes a great corned beef and cabbage. It's magically delicious. It's funny. He makes a good point too.
Speaking of magically delicious, so St. Friday's Day was over the weekend. It's Cal Poly's new like big celebration for kids to let off steam, which is the worst one to do since finals week's usually the week of St. Patrick's Day, so they're like blowing their study weekend.
Yes, they are.
And like I saw 3 to 5 different packs of girls walking around in green and white, carrying a box of Lucky Charms as like a fashion accessory for St. Friday's Day, which upset me. Like,
I buy Lucky Charms. That's a status symbol right there. Those are pricey.
I mean, why not just buy like just the marshmallows? Because I'm pretty sure they make that still. Right? Yeah,
I think they do. We get just the giant bag of it, but I read something online where it was like the kids were telling the other kids, like the younger kids, that they also have to eat the cat food because they would just eat all of the marshmallows. And the other stuff kind of looks like that cat food that comes in that shape, like the fish or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah, it's kind of hilarious. That's what my 2-year-old does. He just like eats all the marshmallows and discards the other part of it.
Smart kid. Speaking of levels of smartness, I didn't start the timer until now. So
about 5 minutes in.
Yeah. I mean, I can see I'm at our recording timer, but we usually faff about.
We didn't faff for an incredibly long time. And then, of course, Lucky Charms, always a good punchline. Like at the end of a movie when you go, "You Lucky Charms," even though they're called Lucky. What are they called in the?
It was Lucky. I don't remember. Lucky cereal? No. I don't know. It's in my other notes.
Yeah, it's dumb.
It was called something else in the movie.
Yeah.
Yet they say Lucky Charms twice, but he pulls out a box of repurposed Lucky Charms for set decoration.
Yeah.
So
and
dumb.
then he pulls out the lightsaber. No. That's in the 4th movie.
Yeah. I sent Andrew. So when I was doing the video version at youtube.com. Nope. We haven't.
Namely YouTube at
namely90s.com/YouTube. If 175 more of you subscribe to our channel, we can have a YouTube vanity URL instead of sending you redirected from our website. So when I was editing the video version, I saw clips from Leprechaun 4 and Leprechaun Back to the Hood and Leprechaun in the Hood. I don't remember, but Leprechaun 4, he has a green lightsaber. And
it's just so stupid.
The Space Marines, and he's like saving a space princess for some reason. I don't know if the Leprechaun becomes the hero in that movie.
I imagine he flips between protagonist and antagonist multiple times.
I wouldn't be surprised. Speaking of flipping from antagonist to protagonist, should we get into No, we still have time. Never mind. We haven't been talking enough.
Yeah, I agree.
Although this is a week where I actually have like 5 things I want to talk about.
Do you want to talk for 20 minutes about Game of Thrones, even though it's been off the air for like 10 years?
We could do that.
No.
Why does that seem relevant?
It's not. Because that's what you do on podcasts. Everyone knows that. Or making it super obvious that you like recorded stuff in advance by still talking about quarantine. Which is what one of my podcasts is doing.
Oh, really?
I
can't believe we're still stuck in quarantine.
They mentioned quarantine, but not the war in Ukraine today. And I'm like, I don't think this is a current episode. But then they said some stuff that was current. So I'm pretty sure they recorded it a while ago, recorded like a current banter segment to add in, and then like released it that way.
Weird.
Which I can't say I blame them for because you're busy. You know?
Yeah, sometimes you have to batch record and,
yeah,
something that we don't do anymore because we have such accessible setups now.
Indeed.
It's just, it's not like I get worried when it's towards the end of the week and you haven't told me when we're recording next.
Yeah, usually the end of the week is Wednesday, Thursday, Thursday, as old people say.
They say that, don't they?
They do. They don't say day. They say D at the end. Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Oh, we're gonna go down to the bingo hall on Tuesday. I don't know why, but they do.
I have nothing to contribute to that one.
Because you can't disagree. That's for damn sure.
I was like, what Midwest accent is that?
Tuesday.
And can I add that to your list of Quotely 90 voices that you do?
Andrew as an elderly person. Quotely 90s.
Speaking of which, I don't know when this is coming out, but I am going to be appearing on Everything 90s in the next week or two. A debate against Prime from the Prime Nostalgia podcast over whether the 90s or the 2000s have better theme songs, TV theme songs. And Andrew, just so you know, we're going with the X-Files.
Well, I mean, listen, you've got the X-Files, you got ER, James Newton Howard.
The ER is on.
I mean, that's a freaking classic, man.
I'm limiting it to one instrumental. I don't want to give the whole thing. Well, I guess we're recording this weekend, so you wouldn't be able to get my picks. So
I think the X-Files is just so iconic that you've got to go with that.
Well, not only that, but it transcends the 90s, not only because it went into the 2000s, but because it's now like top tier meme status whenever someone talks about like conspiracy theories or the Illuminati. Yeah,
it's one of those, like, you hear it and it evokes an immediate response, and it's like you can't not know it's the X-Files. You know, like if you played the ER theme song cold to someone, they'd be like, a younger person, they'd be like, what is that?
Is this what trance music was before they dropped the bass?
Is this Grey's Anatomy?
Kind of sounds like Grey's Anatomy. Also, they haven't emailed us yet, but I'm pretty sure based on the episode they released this week, I'm also going to be appearing on the Nostalgia Test podcast soon, talking about power ballads. You unfortunately weren't able to make it to that one.
And I'm going to be appearing dead on the floor of my bathroom.
Oh, yeah, and Andrew's got to make the big bucks, and I got to, promote the podcast. So that's be on the lookout on our Twitter. We'll announce it if they short sell us, but if not, I'll be back next week to remind you. And I guess as always, we do a weekly segment on the Insanely Dangerous Retro Pod Show called Quotely 90s, where we make them guess what we're talking about on our show this week.
Always fun.
Yep. Should we get into it?
Let's do it. So tell us what was going on in March of 1999.
Travel back with me, listeners, if you will, to March of 1999. On the 6th, far-right conspiracy theorist, nutjob blowhard Alex Jones creates InfoWars. Is that enough descriptors?
Let's go, Brandon.
Thank you for that positive affirmation.
You're welcome.
On this, we're taking it back. On the 7th, Stanley Kubrick passes away at age 70. Best known for, Andrew, he's a director. Do you know any of his movies?
2001: A Space Odyssey and Clockwork Orange as a director, I would say.
Yes, I just said that he was a director.
Perfect.
Did you know any of that before you write it off of our notes?
The name sounded familiar.
Okay, yeah, he's one of those iconic film directors. So you've definitely not seen any of his works
indeed,
out of spite. You've actively avoided watching his stuff.
Yes, but I have seen Leprechaun.
But
that's the biggest affront to everything. Like, there's so many classic movies I haven't seen. if I've seen Leprechaun.
That is so true. And on top of that, like you would get like maybe 20% more Family Guy jokes if you watch one or two of these movies. Because I know for a fact they actually did like a scene from The Clockwork Orange.
No, I mean, like I understood like 11 different cutaways from Family Guy just by watching The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's one of his, I think that's one of Seth MacFarlane's like childhood favorite movies.
Yeah, yeah.
On the 8th, Joe DiMaggio passes from lung cancer at 84.
Good, bringing the energy on that one.
Do you know who
Joe DiMaggio loses has lung cancer? He was a baseball player. Mm-hmm.
Where have you gone, Joe DiMaggio? Hey, Mrs. Robinson. Anyway, on the 8th, you know the song. He's in. They say his name in the song.
Yeah.
On the 8th, the U.S. Supreme Court upholds the murder convictions of Timothy McVeigh for the Oklahoma City bombings.
Good thing those were in question.
Yeah, I don't know how it got that far up. On the 16th, EverQuest is released for Windows. EverQuest. Are you an EverQuester?
Don't even know what it is.
Oh, it's a PC game. I feel like it's like a WoW or Quake.
Oh, it's an online game.
Is it? Yes.
Online.
It's an inline game.
I thought it was
just like
Myst.
Rollerblades.
For some reason, it reminded me of Myst.
Aren't they related? Are they related? No.
Myst is like a stupid game where it's just like still photographs that you like go from one scene to the next, like click on stuff and stuff happens.
Oh no, EverQuest is more like a what are they called? It's not an MMO. It's like StarCraft, isn't it?
It looks like a role play type game. We should do a playthrough where we play Myst together and have to like figure out what to do. Now. Myst
with a Y. 20 on the 20th, Legoland, California. The first U.S. Legoland opens in Carlsbad.
Speaking of which, speaking of Myst, I had a game. I had the X-Files game back maybe the late 90s, early 2000s, and it was like a CD-ROM. It was the same kind of thing where it was like you would like be a picture of a hotel, and then if you like clicked the hotel, it would take you into the lobby, which was just a picture of the lobby, and you could interact with like the person behind the desk or the phone, and then it would just like play audio. This is before video games got good.
Which is funny because like in the early 90s, I'm pretty sure the early 90s, they had like those video games where it was like they would record the video and it would be on the CD and you would like click around, and then if you like clicked on a character, it would play like a movie instead of like a pre-rendered cutscene. That makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. The game is from 98. So
I vaguely remember you playing that.
It was really stupid.
On the 21st, Pokemon Snap is released for the N64 in Japan, and it's released in July of 1999 in the US, which I missed in our episode on July of 1999. But if you're watching this on YouTube and I wasn't lazy, in the upper right-hand corner of the episode, you will see a link to watch our July 1999 episode of Namely 90s. Why don't you click on that and then come back later? Finally on the 23rd, Livin' La Vida Loca by Ricky Martin is released. Don't know why I picked that out of...
Living the crazy life.
TV premiering / ending in March of 1999. On the 19th, we have Farscape premiering on the Sci-Fi Channel. That's with 2 eyes, for which you can see how to spell sci-fi properly. On the 24th, Tenacious D premieres on HBO. On the 28th, Futurama premieres on Fox. First of 3 premiere dates for Futurama. And on the 29th, The Late Show with Craig Kilborn premieres on CBS. And ending on the 1st is Hercules, the animated series. I believe this is based off of the Disney movie. And ending on the 7th is Beast Wars, Transformers. In the box office, we have On the 5th, Cruel Intentions. On the 12th, Baby Geniuses, The Rage, Carrie 2, and Wing Commander, starring Freddie Prinze Jr.,
Wow.
Matthew Lillard, and it is based on the video game from the early 90s called Wing Commander. Do you remember Wing Commander?
No, that sounds horrible.
It is. On the 26th, Doug's first movie premieres. That's Doug from...
Is that Doug's first and final movie?
That's a good question. It's definitely the only theatrical one that I remember. This was when Doug was owned by ABC after leaving, or ABC/Disney after leaving Nickelodeon. And
the show that took the idea of people of color literally too far to where they were just different colors of the rainbow.
And still no one was black. On the 26th, Ed TV also premieres in the box office. And finally, on the 31st, we have 10 Things I Hate About You and The Matrix. Nothing? No, just eyebrows.
The Matrix, man.
And on the Billboard charts for number 1 for March 1999. And from February for the first week is Angel of Mine by Monica. And for the rest of March and into April is Believe by Cher. I believe I remember that one. Hey, I'm Andrew. For the third week and continuing on for the third week of March 1999 on the charts, we have at number 5, Angel by Sarah McLachlan.
For just $12 a day.
In the arms.
You can support these pets.
Number 6, we have All I Have to Give by the Backstreet Boys. Number 7 is Kiss Me by Sixpence None the Richer, which probably has something to do with the release of... Nope, wrong movie.
The Matrix.
Yes.
Kiss me.
It has to do with 10 Things, or not 10 Things I Hate About You. The one that we watched in February. She's All That.
She's All That.
Yeah, it came out earlier, later the previous year. Anyway, number 8, No Scrub by TLC. Number 9, Every Morning by Sugar Ray. Number 11, Baby One More Time by Britney Spears. Number 12, Slide by Goo Goo Dolls.
The Goo Goo Dolls.
Most of their Billboard appearances do not have
the Goo Goo Dolls. Okay,
yes, the Goo Goo Dolls do not have the in front of their name. On the 20th, or at number 20, we have Hard Knock Life (parenthesis Ghetto Anthem) by Jay-Z. You know, I had this one on my Napster.
On your iPod Shuffle.
Yeah,
you had a regular iPod.
I had a Shuffle later on, one of the ones that didn't have any anyway. Hard Knock Life Ghetto Anthem, it's the one that uses the Annie song. And then in Austin Powers 3 Goldmember, Dr. Evil raps to it in the beginning. And sorry, number 21, Save Tonight by Eagle Eye Cherry. I like that song. And number 25, Miami by Will Smith.
And now let's go to Brandon for the Namely 90s Minute.
Welcome back to our mid-episode break, Namely 90s Minute. Every week, we look back at a culturally relevant show, movie, or piece of pop culture that probably helps stoke the algorithm. This week, in honor of Sandra Bullock returning to the big screen in The Lost City, we look back at her breakout role in Speed. Speed is a 1994 action thriller starring the guy who knows Kung Fu in The Matrix, the guy who isn't Peter Fonda in Easy Rider, Miss Congeniality, Miles Dyson from Terminator 2 Judgment Day, and Dumber from Dumb and Dumber. The plot revolves around a former Atlanta Police Department bomb squad officer turned extortionist bomber, played by President Koopa, who after surviving a failed extortion attempt and suicide bombing, rigged a bus to explode if it travels under 50 miles per hour. Bird Box just so happens to be a passenger on the bus rigged to explode when she meets police officer John Wick, who is trying to keep the bus from exploding. Meanwhile, John Constantine's detective partner, live-action Roger from 101 Dalmatians, hunts down the bomber to his home only to die when they discover the place is rigged to explode. Bill and/or Ted manages to get everyone off the bus, minus one passenger who blows up trying to get off, after somehow jumping the bus across a missing part of the LA freeway, in a scene that is reminiscent of when Andrew accidentally almost did the same thing to us. And the bus runs into an airplane and then explodes. Officer Point Break and Lieutenant Henry Deacon from Eureka head out to drop the ransom, but Deacon from Waterworld figures out that he's been duped and abducts the blind side and puts her in an explosive jacket attached to a pole in a subway train. My Own Private Idaho eventually tracks down the bomber and they have a fight on top of a subway train, resulting in the bomber losing his head. Literally. The guy from the lake house derails the train before it can smash up the girl from the lake house, and they share a kiss to close out the movie. And that's Speed in a Namely 90s minute. More or less.
And now, back to the show.
Anywhere you want to go?
Boy. So many topics to choose from.
Nothing with facts under it.
I like how one... Yeah, it's... Yeah, no facts whatsoever. Let's see. Futurama.
Wow.
That's a series that I really need to go watch again.
Yes.
Because I watched some of it. I think I was too young to really get the jokes back then.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like it's a slightly smarter version of The Simpsons.
Yes. I would agree with that.
And I still just love that there's this meme that I saw once that is funny. For some reason, Bender is that's his name, right?
The robot.
Yeah, he's rappelling. They're rappelling down the side of a building, and they go past. It's a hotel. And they go past some people, and they're having relations or whatever. He's like, "Oh, get a room," and they're like, "They are in a room." And he goes, "Well, then lose some weight." I think that character's funny to me.
Yeah, he has good one-liners.
And I feel like it's sort of a commentary on society a lot of the time, or our current events, world, that kind of thing. So I gotta watch it. There's so much I have to watch, though.
That's true, especially now that it's coming back a second time.
Well, not even that. I mean, there's so much just general television I have to catch up on.
True.
That I don't know, man.
At least I know for a fact that you subscribe to the service that has it in America.
True.
Yeah, and I've seen it front to back at least once, possibly twice. Because I know I watched it. I feel like I didn't watch it fully. I'd seen all the episodes, but I haven't watched it in order until they brought it back the first time. Right. With the movies that then aired on Comedy Central. So it's oh yeah, I might as well just watch the whole thing. So I'm caught up by the time we get to the movies. And then I think I did it one more time during the pandemic, possibly. Because it's I watched a lot of stuff during the pandemic. But yeah, Futurama is coming back for a second time because they brought it back to the movies, and then I think it had a season, I want to say.
Okay.
On Comedy Central, and then it disappeared again. They canceled it for a second time, or it might have just been the movies that they did 4 or 5 movies.
Boy, wouldn't it be nice when we get out of this quarantine?
Aren't you basically done with it already?
Yes, the mask. I was making a joke. The mask regulations have been lifted here. Our medical freedom is intact again. God, shut up.
According to Wikipedia.
Jim. I think I say according to Jim. And I was like the ABC television sitcom?
No, that never crosses my mind. Jim Belushi is the lesser Belushi, but he's the smarter one because he's still alive.
And the more alive one. Yeah, I was just going to say.
There were 4 seasons originally aired on Fox from 99 to 03. It came back for a second time for a slew of movies that came out, and 4 movies: Bender's Big Score, The Beast with a Billion Backs, Bender's Game, and Into the Wild Green Yonder, which is I think where the series originally ends. That was 2008, 2009. And then upon the success of that, they brought it back, which then I think aired on Comedy Central for 2 seasons, from 2010 to 2013. And then it ended again.
And now it's coming back again?
Yes, it's coming back again for a 3rd time. Everyone's signed back on. There was like the guy who played Bender originally was holding out for more money for himself and probably the rest of the cast, but everyone else is like, oh yeah, we're on board. And he's like, yeah, gotta compensate me adequately for this.
Yeah.
But yes, it's coming back. I forget where it's going to be airing. I think it's going to be on Hulu. Doesn't say.
Yeah, that
here.
sounds about right. I feel like Hulu's correct.
Yeah, Hulu Revival. Because I mean, there's a 3rd Matt Groening, the creator of The Simpsons and Futurama. Yeah, however you say his name. There's a 3rd series on Netflix called Disenchanted, I think. I don't know. I watched a season of that. It wasn't as good. Set in the middle, or set in like a fantasy medieval times type thing. But yeah, Futurama was great. You got Bender, you got Lilo, you got Fry. Like there's the classic meme of take my money.
Yeah. And then the suspicious Fry meme.
Yes, the can't tell if or just
and
meme.
I mean, Zoidberg, always funny. And then of course the professor, Zoidberg. I don't want to live on this planet anymore, which is like one of the best memes that's out there.
That's my favorite. And I think that was from the movies. There's also Amy Wong and Hermes Conrad, the Jamaican accountant. They have President Nixon.
Oh yeah,
because all like the famous dead people's heads are in jars, and they're like sentient and alive and whatnot. They had Captain Zap Brannigan, who was originally voiced by Phil Hartman. You may recognize. I'm Troy McClure. You may recognize me from such films as he played Zap
Rip
Brannigan.
To the max.
Rip to the max. Oh, sorry. He was originally going to be voiced by Phil Hartman, but he died before production could begin because this was 99.
Yeah.
But yeah, he still kind of talks like Phil Hartman in the show. And he's always trying to seduce Leela, but he's actually like a giant coward. That. Yeah. And Nibbler, the little Niblonian pet that Leela has.
I've seen a few dogs named Nibbler, and I'm like, that's a funny name. And they're like, you know what that's from, right? Futurama.
Like, absolutely, I do not. But yeah, the plot is Fry on New Year's Eve, 1999, accidentally falls into a cryogenics freezing tube, so he's preserved until the 31st century. And he then has to work for a space delivery company. And zany antics ensue.
Yes.
And that's Futurama in a namely 90s minute. No.
More or less. Where do you want to go?
Well, I feel like I've already talked about Farscape on this show. Have I talked about Farscape?
A bit. And then we can talk about The Matrix quite a bit.
Did we talk about The Matrix quite a bit?
I feel like we did when the new one came out.
Did we? I mean, we talked about it a little bit, but like we didn't talk about The Matrix.
That's right, folks. I'm nodding on a podcast.
I feel like we should talk about The Matrix. Like,
okay.
It's just because it's iconic. We might have talked about like The Matrix Resurrections, but I don't think we didn't do enough of a dive into the original movie that it's worth skipping again.
I mean, it's excellent. I remember I swear I told this story. We were buying a big screen TV at the Good Guys. And back then the scene that you played to like test out the TV and the surround sound and all that was like that hallway shooting up scene from The Matrix.
Mm-hmm. which you then, when your parents brought home that sound system and the big screen, you then invited your friends over and showed them the hallway scene from The Matrix. And
exactly.
I was like, can I borrow this DVD?
Yeah, it was awesome. We were the people who had the big screen TV, but it was still but it was like, now it was horrible.
I can't imagine trying to lift that thing.
Yeah, huge, not even widescreen. It was like 4:3 still. Horrible. But it was in like that ultra letterbox format where it's just like a thin strip of.
Yeah, so the widescreen turned out to be like maybe a 32-inch monitor today.
Yeah, and then you just got radiation poisoning if you stood too close to the damn thing.
Oh yeah, because it was still a tube. But like that movie blew my mind the first time. Either you lent it to me or I convinced my parents to buy it because I know I had it on. I think I got my dad to buy it at Costco. I remember that. But like that just blew my mind. We're on a simulation, like the end where Neo just like when he dies and comes back in the Matrix and everything's just green code. I changed my computer screensaver to the Matrix raining.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Matrix themed stuff was all the rage then.
Mm-hmm. But just like that one scene and the score and the like stopping the bullets and like picking it out of the air and then it kind of got dumb because he jumped into Agent Smith. But
yeah, but it was like the effects were revolutionary at the time.
Yeah.
I would argue, I think I did argue that the effects in the first movie were almost better than in the new Resurrections one.
Yeah. Or I mean, this might be controversial, but I would say it's better than the effects in Reloaded and what's the third one? Revelations.
Revelations.
Pretty sure
Revelations is the last book in the Bible.
Yes, but Revolution because it was a revolution.
You might be right.
Which one of us is
You're
correct. Right. Okay. Yeah, it was just like the Matrix was a thing, and then I don't think they expected it to be a thing, and then they made those two sequels back to back, which is classic a money grab move, and it just. I watched it out of order. I watched Revolutions before Revolutions before
and then there was
before Reloaded, sorry.
Then there was The Matrix in Space, The Matrix 5 in the Hood,
Leprechaun the Matrix. But no, I like
he takes the green pill for sure.
Okay, we have to pitch that. There's like now 2 Leprechaun movies we have to pitch.
It's a special podcast. We just pitch new ideas for Leprechaun sequels.
But like it was a great movie, and Keanu Reeves, who played Trinity, she's in a lot of stuff.
Carrie-Anne Moss, isn't it?
Carrie-Anne Moss. You had
Lawrence Fishburne,
yeah,
who was very conspicuously absent from the new one,
but made sense. There was a statue of him.
I still don't like it though. I think he was a big part of it. Like, come on, guys, let's get this together here. It's the Matrix. You can do anything you want.
That's true. So why make him younger?
Yeah, exactly.
And then there was that online game that came out after the franchise came out, and everyone's like, "Oh, I get to go into the actual Matrix now," and apparently that sucked. But
the joke's on you. You're already in the Matrix.
Yes. If you go down another level, it just gets more compressed. And then Jada Pinkett Smith was in a video game or something, and then there's the Animatrix, which nerds really liked, but I didn't appreciate it, which is odd because I am a nerd.
Yeah, true.
Did you have the Animatrix? I feel like you had the Animatrix.
I don't know what that is.
It was like a collection of short stories.
No.
They're all animated. It was like a DVD release between the first two, with all stories spanning around like the fall of mankind and the machine war, and then like other Matrix stories from the Matrix, Leprechaun.
Origins. Yeah. Let's see.
I know you hate this one. 10 Things I Hate About You.
Matthew McConaughey and no, that's How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days.
Yeah,
I always get that mixed up because it's got the 10 in it. What's the other one?
So it's shot in Seattle. It's Heath Ledger, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, the girl from Save the Last Dance. It's set in Seattle. Like they film at like gasworks and one of the high schools down there, one of the Catholic high schools down there.
I really don't like Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I just have never.
Stiles.
Oh yeah, Julia Stiles. I've never liked him. Can't do it.
But you liked The Dark Knight.
He was in that?
He's the Joker.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt?
Oh, I thought you said Heath Ledger.
No.
Oh, I like Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Third Rock from the Sun.
Yeah, no.
Indoctrinated me early on.
Can't like him in anything.
Larissa Olnick plays his love interest. You'd probably recognize her. But yeah, it's a romantic comedy. I think it's based off of Taming of the Shrew by old Billy Shakespeare.
Bill.
Essentially, Julia Stiles' character is like doesn't date guys, and her dad says that their younger sister, played by Larissa Olnick, can't date anyone. So Joseph Gordon-Levitt has a crush on her, and she convinces him to hire Heath Ledger to date her older sister, so that then she could go date some other dude and not realize how good of a dude JGL is. It's a lot of cliches. And then if you've ever seen Not Another Teen Movie, which I know you haven't, there's this scene in, don't know what that was. So if I get murdered,
you're about to be killed. Yeah, on camera.
I'm just gonna keep this off for right now. What was I saying? Oh, there's a scene where in Not Another Teen Movie where the character sings "Janie's Got a Gun," and then they think that the character Janie has a gun. But that's inspired by this movie because he tries to win her over by singing at her soccer practice. It's a lot of cliches, but it's a good watch.
Yeah, I bet.
If you're into the 90s teen rom-coms. Anyway, more
Legoland
things.
always seemed super cool, but I never went to places in California like that, so I never went. Did you ever go?
See, I feel like I did, but it was in it's in Carlsbad, right? That's what I said.
I don't know what Carlsbad. There's caverns there. I know that.
There is caverns there. I feel like that's like closer to San Diego. But I vividly remember like there was a Legoland portion in Disneyland, like either in downtown Disney.
By the way, the Carlsbad Caverns are in New Mexico.
Oh, good to know. Yeah, because I remember seeing the dragon, and I remember there was like it might have been in Walt Disney World. They might have had like a Legoland area in like one of the shopping areas, but I vividly remember something Legoland-ish going to California on vacation, or apparently Orlando, Florida.
Yeah, it's north of San Diego,
but south of Disneyland.
Yes,
and Anaheim.
Yep.
Yeah. Pokemon Snap.
That's the Pokemon game where you just took pictures of the Pokemon.
Yep, and threw apples at them to piss them off. Recently had a new entry in the series after like 20 years, 25 years.
How do you feel about that?
On the Switch, I enjoyed it. There's some DLC that came out like a couple months after I finished the game, and I haven't gone back to it, but it's nice playing it on the Switch. I have Pokemon Snap on the Wii on the Virtual Console because I had it originally for the 64. It was a good game. It was the first Pokemon game where, other than like throwing balls to irritate animals, like you didn't use them to battle in dogfights. So
okay.
I feel like it's the most pacifist version of Pokemon in the series. Which I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. Just saying it's different. And you get to take pictures. And the one complaint I have after taking like high school photography and college photography is that it doesn't, when it scans your photos, doesn't take in any artistic principles into it. It's like, is it dead center? Good, 100 points. Oh no, it's off frame slightly. Oh, you use rule of thirds? Negative 500 points. Yeah.
They're trying to train you not to use the rule of thirds.
Pretty much. You have to get it like giant and in frame. So like anytime you took a cool photo, you would get like no points for it. And I definitely talked about the sci-fi original series Farscape before, but John Crichton, Muppets, I'm pretty sure Jim Henson's workshop worked on it since he's dead at this point. And it was good subversive sci-fi, practical effects, which you don't really get much anymore. And like this was like right around the time, this was right when episode 1 came out, Star Wars episode 1. So it's like CG everything. And
a CG to the max.
Yeah. So I highly recommend Farscape. Ben Browder, Claudia Black, they have great chemistry together. And he's one of those like smart ass type characters.
Much better than Nearscape, I have to say.
Yes. Nearscape,
Farscape,
Navigator.
Wherever you are, scape. That is a Titanic joke, or the song "My Heart Will Go On" joke. I'm sorry.
No, don't be. That was. I'm already formulating a music video for this. All right. Anything else? Anything else from?
No, man. I'm losing it over here, man.
Yeah, you're kind of dead today.
Staring off into the distance. Well, again, I do work every day I work every day, so I'm tired.
Well, then that's it for this week's edition of Namely 90s. Remember, you can find new episodes out every Monday. Check the episode description for this week's supplemental Spotify playlist curated by yours truly. Find us on Twitter and Instagram at Namely90s with 90s, or find our personal accounts at bschwitty and at NamelyAndrew and tell us what you want us to talk about on future episodes. If you'd like to support the show, please check out our Patreon at patreon.com/Namely90s, also with a 90s. Finally, you can contact us through our website, namely90s.com. Please subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Mr. Anderson, Deezer, TuneIn, iHeart, Good Pods, and wherever you get your podcasts from. I'm Brandon. I'm Brandon. That's Andrew. And we'll catch you next time.
That's Brendan. I'm Ashton. Brendan and Ashton. God, what a bunch of douches.